Thank you so much for being here.
Hi, good morning. Good morning. Can you hear me? All right. That's me, but I think they put more hair on my head. That picture. Well, welcome to Cali. It's really a true honor to have you here. I know this is the first time you host this conference here in obviously in Cali, but I believe also in Colombia. This is uh a wonderful city. We actually in Spanish we call it sucursal del cielo, which means branch office to heaven. It's a very beautiful city. As you can see, it's a very biodiverse city. We're one of the most biodiverse cities in Colombia, and hence one of the most biodiverse cities in the world. Just to give you one number, we have over 550 species of birds here in Cali. And we had a new species, the newest one that was discovered. It's called the Tororoi bailador, the Tororoi dancer, and it was discovered just 7 years ago. So that's great news in a moment in history when we only hear about species being extinct, not the discovery of new species. Cali is also a thriving economic center in Colombia. It's actually Colombia's first economic miracle. In the early 20th century, Cali was a small town. It had about 8,000 or 10,000 people. And then in the early 20th century, a railroad was built from the coffee growing region to the Pacific Ocean, which went through Cali, and that revolutionized the city. Then, when the airplane came around, the flights from New York to Santiago in Chile would go through Cali. They would go like from New York to Miami to Kingston to Panama to Cali to Lima and then down to Santiago. It was a pretty long flight. Uh, but when people would stop over at Cali, they'd stop by and they'd say, "Wow, this place is pretty cool. The weather's great. The men are really handsome, and uh, and it's very beautiful." So a lot of American businessmen that would go down to the Southern Cone, they would stop over here. And then when the Andean Community of Nations, the first free trade agreement came about, a lot of multinationals, especially US multinationals, set up shop here in Cali. Today, Cali is the third most important city in Colombia, but we have the largest industrial base for export industries. We have 18% of Colombia's industrial base here in Cali, 22% of Colombia's agro-industrial base. We have around 12 of Colombia's best universities, including Universidad del Valle, which is Colombia's best provincial public university. And we have a university called ICESI, Javeriana, Autónoma. We have various other private universities that are also among Colombia and Latin America's best. And we have a very well developed healthcare sector. We actually have the best public and private healthcare network in the country and one of the best in Latin America. We have three of Latin America's top 15 hospitals are here in Cali, and we actually get a lot of medical tourism from other countries, from Central America, from Chile, but also from Spain, also from the US. A lot of people from the southern US, from Florida, from Tennessee, from Georgia, they actually come down to Cali for simple procedures like just going to the dentist. A procedure that in the US might cost $5,000 here in Cali, it'll cost $1,000, so they can come down to Cali, get their teeth fixed, go dance some salsa, and then fly back to the States. So it's actually much funner. And Cali is also a city that's very strong in the homegrown tech sector. Out of obviously, Colombia is not a tech powerhouse, but we do have a lot of very big tech multinationals. Out of Colombia's top 10 tech companies, four of them are based here in Cali. And one of them, Rappi, which you may have heard of, was born in Cali and is owned by people, by Caleños, as we would say. Um, in Currently, we're clearly hosting the COP16 summit. That's why you guys are all here. And for us, it was very important to be the host city of the COP16 summit because, Cali has been very important in Latin America, or was for many years, all throughout the 20th century. But unfortunately, we fell in hard times um, over the past 30 years because of the drug trade and drug violence, because of the FARC, because of terrorism, because of the violence that Colombia went through. But Cali is kind of going through a renaissance right now, and that's what we're trying to push forward. Cali is still Cali. Cali is still a tech powerhouse. Cali is still an educational powerhouse. Cali still has, like I said, a strong medical sector. But we just need to get Cali up, up, and flying high again. So that's what we're doing. We wanted to invite the whole world here also because, like I mentioned, Cali is the most biodiverse city in the second most biodiverse country in the world. The first one is Brazil, just because they're much larger. But if we look at it at biodiversity per square meter, from what I understand, from what I've heard in the conferences here, Cali is actually the number one. I'm sorry, Colombia is actually the number one most biodiverse country. And that's a huge responsibility that Colombia has with the world. Because in order to protect the world from global warming, we need to preserve biodiversity, and we haven't been doing it right. So by bringing the COP16 summit, we're not only bringing all of you guys down here so that you can see what a great country this is, what a great city this is, and all the opportunities we have, but also so that we can create that awareness here in Colombia and here in Cali. And then I'll close with this because I think my time's up. Cali is within the Chocó bioregion, which is a biodiversity hotspot, which is perhaps one of the most strategic hotspots in the world, but it's the least known. It goes from Costa Rica, Panama, Colombia, Ecuador, and northern Peru, all along the Pacific coast. So one of our objectives here is to make the world aware that the Choco bioregion exists and that we need to protect it. Number two is that in Colombia, that the main threat to biodiversity in the world today, especially in the tropics and particularly in South America and Colombia, are illegal economies. The cocaine trade, or the cocaine agro industry, because that's what it is, the illegal mining and illegal timbering, but also illegal migration. Illegal migration to the States actually destroys a lot of ecosystems on the path that people go through. Just to give you a number, for every kilo of cocaine that's produced, 80 kilos of precursor chemicals are thrown into the jungles and into the rivers of Colombia. And that's something that few people have looked into, and that's another reason why we need to eradicate that evil. The second objective that we have is to foment um, the biotech sector here in Cali. I'm sure you're going to find a lot of opportunities. We already have some advanced in that direction, and you're going to hear a lot about it here. And the third thing is that I need all of you guys to go home, back to your countries, to the US, to Canada, to Europe, wherever you came from. And people are going to ask you, hey, you guys went to Colombia? They're like, yeah. Like, wow, that place is pretty dangerous. And you're going to say, no, it was actually great. And they're like, what do you mean? There aren't people with guns everywhere? No. And then and they're gonna say, but where did you go? And you're gonna say, we went to Cali, and Cali rocks. And they're gonna say, and they're gonna say, well, do you think we should go to Cali? And you're gonna say, yes, Cali is where you should be. Thank you very much, and welcome to Cali.
So much. Thank you.